Wake up call. Your addiction is a liar. It is seeking to seduce you by telling you that what it offers is sweet and satisfying. Hello again, friend, and welcome back to Sex Addicted Christian, where we are here to crush the shame, cultivate community, uncover the unseen, and take action. As always, I'm your guide, Jimmy Trent, and it's such a pleasure to be with you today. Today's episode is entitled, I See Dead People. I know, it's taken some of you back to Bruce Willis, and that's okay. But God sometimes in His Word uses really strong, provocative language to get us addicts out of our coma-like state. And today we're going to look at one of those passages. But before we do, I want to make sure you're aware of my free guide that I've written. I've worked really hard on it. I've given you everything I've got in it. It's the 4 pillars of the porn-free life, and it walks through all 4 of those pillars that we just mentioned in the intro. And I want to give it to you as a free gift from me to you. If you're really wanting to take action against this addiction of sex, porn, masturbation, lust, whatever form it takes, this is the next step that you need to take. So please go over to sexaddictedchristian.com. Right there on the homepage, you can click a button, download it to your device, and you can get started on your journey to freedom today. So back to our topic, seeing dead people. God, as I mentioned, uses provocative language to get our attention sometimes because as addicts, we tend to really be asleep at the wheel in our lives. Addicts often, in my experience, and at least as an addict in the past, frank talk, straight shooting, really helpful for the addict. And so today, I want to be a little frank. I want to shoot straight with you. One such conversation that I'm talking about that God has with His people is found in Proverbs chapter 9. As we lean into this today, I do want to give credit to one of my professors, Ed Welch, who introduced me to this passage in the context of addiction. His workbook, Crossroads, is a true gift to addicts like you and me that are looking for freedom from our addiction. So listen to these words of wisdom that Solomon gives us in Proverbs 9, starting in verse 13. As we read it, I want you to substitute your addiction for the woman folly. He starts off by saying this, the woman folly is loud. She is seductive and knows nothing. So it's pretty simple here right out of the gate. Your addiction to sex, lust, porn, masturbation, sex with others, whatever it is loud and it's seducing. Verse 14 says this, she sits at the door of her house. She takes a seat at the highest places of the town, calling out to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. So the second thing I want to observe here quickly is your addiction is opportunistic. It is looking and plotting and ploying to take you down even when you don't realize it. When you are just going straight along your way, your addiction is at work against you. And then in verse 16 it says, whoever is simple, let him come in here. That word simple could be translated as naive, right? And that's the heart of this book of Proverbs, is to give us wisdom so that we wouldn't be so gullible or naive. And so your addiction is seeking to capitalize on your inability to see clearly. So a little hint here, that's the purpose of this discussion in a lot of ways, is to wake you up so that you can see what you aren't normally seeing. And if you can grow in wisdom, then you have a much better shot of winning this war against the addiction. These few verses in Proverbs is kind of like getting the opponent's playbook in a football game. You're getting to see how your opponent is operating and what they plan to do. And then in verse 17, we see that the addiction is saying this, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. Wake up call. Your addiction is a liar. It is seeking to seduce you by telling you that what it offers is sweet and satisfying. And you know as well as I do that every single time you fall to its lies, you neither feel sweet or satisfied. It feels dirty, it feels gross, it feels unsatisfying. And when you fall down that road enough times, You actually begin to get angry at this addiction because of the lies that it continues to tell, the promises that it never delivers on. And our proverb ends with the truth. And this is the truth. While the addiction is telling us that the stolen water is sweet and the bread eaten in secret is pleasurable, verse 18 becomes the wake-up call. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. The proverb tells us that behind the door of invitation from our addiction is death. I love how John Piper describes this in a recent article he wrote on Desiring God. When he answers the question, what is death? He says this: death is separation, a dividing of things that ought to be united. Fundamentally, death is separation from God. And this, friend, is where we need to make a turn. To turn away from the woman folly, the addiction that seeks to seduce and lie and give us all the things that truly do not satisfy, and look instead to God, whom we want to be united with. So in contrast to the woman folly or the addiction that's seeking to invite you to what ends up being death, we have an all-satisfying invitation to life by the God of the universe who created you and knows what is truly best for you. Listen to this invitation by God in Isaiah 55 verses 1 and 2. Come, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and he who has no money, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Then he asks us a question in verse 2. Why do you spend your money on things that are not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy? Listen diligently to me and eat what is good, and delight yourself in the richest of food. We see here that God invites the thirsty and the poor to come and enjoy food that truly satisfies. But he also offers this with no cost. Think about that. The water and the bread that you have been feasting on in your addiction is always costly. It always ends with a price. It always costs you something. And for some of you, it seems at this point that it might have cost you everything. So he comes to us even further and asks us a question about why do we continue to do this? God is wanting to reason with you and I in this moment and say, look, do you see the foolishness of what you continue to do? You're giving away everything and getting nothing in return. He wants to wake you up with the provocative language of death in Proverbs chapter 9 and the beautiful invitation of hope and satisfaction in Isaiah 55. God is inviting you to his banquet. You only need to turn your ears on, listen, and follow him towards what is truly satisfying. So friends, we've come to the end of our conversation again today, and I want you to win. I want you to enjoy this deeply satisfying relationship with God. So to help you with that, I have written my 4 pillars of a porn-free life, where I want you to experience the shame-crushing work of Jesus Christ. I want you to figure out and work towards cultivating community. I want you to pull back the layers of your addiction to see where your problems truly lie. And I want to try to help you create a plan to take action against this addiction. It's my free gift to you. As always, go to the website, sexaddictedchristian.com, click the button, download it, enjoy it, work through it. If you have any questions, you can always email me. I'm here for you. I love you. I want you to win. Go find your freedom. I'll see you next week. God bless.